Whispers in the fog. The village of Drelheim was never on any modern map. Nestled deep in the folds of a mountainous forest and hidden by thick, ever-present fog, it had not changed for over 100 years. And it was precisely this stillness that drew Eleanor Greene to it. Eleanor was an investigative journalist with a fascination for the forgotten. Her work had taken her to ghost towns, abandoned sanitariums, and derelict asylums, but none of them haunted her dreams quite like the rumors of Drelheim. Whispers told of a place where time stopped, where no one aged, and where the fog whispered names of the dead. She arrived just after sunset. Her car, a battered hatchback, more rust than metal, coughed and died the moment its tires hit the cobbled road of the village. She didn't bother to try restarting it. Something in her gut told her it wouldn't start again. The village square was empty. Old stone buildings with shuttered windows leaned under the weight of unseen years. A withered tree stood at the center, its bark split and oozing something dark. She walked to the inn. The sign above the door read, "The Grey Hollow," though much of the paint had peeled away. Inside, the air was stale with the scent of mildew and something faintly metallic. An old man sat behind the counter. His eyes, pale and cloudy, followed her movements. "You shouldn't have come," he said. "I'm just here for a story," she replied, trying to sound casual. "There are no stories in Drelheim, only echoes." He handed her a rusted key. Room 3. The stairs creaked under her weight. The hallway was lined with faded wallpaper, floral patterns strangled by time and mold. Room 3's door groaned open with a protest. The bed was made, though the sheets were yellowed. A small window looked out over the square. She set up her recorder and journal. As she scribbled notes, something moved in the reflection of the window, but when she turned, nothing was there. Then the whisper came, a low murmur like breath against the back of her neck. Her name drawn out like a sigh. Eleanor. She spun around, heart hammering. Nothing. But the fog outside thickened. She stared at the window and saw it. A face in the mist, gaunt, grinning, eyes black as coal, and then it was gone. The morning came slowly, as if reluctant to touch Drelheim. The sun was a pale smear behind the fog, casting a colorless light that made everything appear desaturated and unreal. Eleanor hadn't slept. Her body had lain still in the bed, but her mind wandered dark paths, reliving the whisper, the fog, the thing in the window. She descended the stairs of the Grey Hollow, recorder already in hand. The inn was empty. The innkeeper was gone. The chair where he'd sat now toppled backward, legs splayed like a dead insect. His ledger lay open, pages fluttering, though there was no wind. Eleanor reached for it, but as her fingers brushed the paper, the pages slammed shut with a sharp thwack. She recoiled. The square outside was just as silent as before. Only now the fog seemed heavier in the daylight, as though defying the sun's weak attempts to burn it away. She stepped out and scanned the surroundings. No people, no sound, but there were signs, fresh footprints in the damp earth, leading around corners, disappearing into narrow alleyways. The faint smell of burnt wood, like a fire that had long since died. The sense of being watched grew with each step she took. She knocked on the first door she came to. No answer. The second, an ancient wooden frame with a dried herb bundle nailed to it, creaked open on its own. Inside, a woman sat by a cold hearth, unmoving. Her eyes were open, staring at Eleanor, but she did not blink, did not speak. Her lips were cracked and dry, and a line of ash trailed from her feet to the fireplace. "Hello?" Eleanor asked gently, Stepping inside? Nothing. She approached slowly, her recorder capturing the silence. As she got closer, she realized something horrifying. The woman wasn't just silent. She couldn't speak. Her tongue had been cut out. A crude stitch sealed her mouth, a black thread trailing down her chin like drool. Her eyes trembled, pleading. Eleanor stumbled back, breath catching, in her throat. The woman raised a trembling hand, pointed to the window, and drew a jagged symbol in the frost that clung to the inside of the glass. It looked like a spiral being devoured by teeth. Eleanor ran. She found more villagers, some hiding behind curtains, others kneeling in candle-lit rooms, silently mouthing words through ruined lips. A man stood at the edge of a well, staring into its depths, unblinking. Children sat in rows in an abandoned schoolroom, rocking gently, their eyes wide and hollow. No one spoke. Not a single word. It was as if the entire village had been silenced by force. Back in the square, Eleanor stood beneath the twisted branches of a dead tree. Her breaths came in shallow gasps. Something was wrong here. Something older than the village itself. The silence was not just eerie. It was enforced, a punishment. From the edge of the square, a movement. She turned, a figure. It wasn't the thing from her window, but a man. Tall, pale, dressed in a long, moth-eaten coat. His eyes were covered with a cloth bandage, as though shielding himself from something too terrible to see. He raised a hand, slowly, pointed at her, and then turned, walking into the mist. She followed, down twisting paths that seemed to move as she walked them, past stone shrines filled with old, brittle bones, through a narrow alleyway where something whispered in a language she didn't understand. The man stopped at the edge of the forest. "You shouldn't have come," he said, voice dry and full of sorrow. "You can talk?" Eleanor gasped. "Why? Why can no one else?" They tried to speak of it, to warn others. The fog punishes those who give it shape through words. So their tongues were taken, their voices stolen. But I saw what happened to them. I covered my eyes before it could see into me. I chose silence, chose to listen, and in listening, I remembered. I became the vessel for what they could no longer say. His voice trembled, but not with fear, with burden. I cannot see the horrors, but I carry their weight. I hold the memories, the warnings, the fragments of who they were, so the fog cannot erase them entirely. Stories of what? Eleanor whispered. He raised a hand and pointed into the woods. The fog is not weather, it is hunger, and it comes for those who hear the whispers. A branch snapped behind them. The man flinched. "You've heard it, haven't you?" Eleanor nodded slowly. "Then you must choose," he said. "Flee now, or stay and follow the path beyond the whisper. But know this: those who enter the mist never leave unchanged." Another voice whispered her name. Closer now. Eleanor. She turned toward the woods. Something waited in the fog. Something ancient. Something patient. She took a step forward and vanished into the mist. Epilogue months passed. A new journalist came looking for Eleanor Greene. They never found the village of Drelheim, only a single tape recorder lying beside a twisted tree, whispering a name into the fog again and again. Eleanor, Eleanor, Eleanor. End of Book 1, to be continued in Book 2, The Whispering Hunger.